Hey guys, what's up? This is a video. These are going to be a series of videos that you guys have wanted to see since I obtained the Microsoft Accessible Controller. This is going to be a series of videos documenting finding my ideal setup and showing you exactly how the accessible controller works. As you can see, I have a guest with me.
Hi, my name is Ronnie. I work here with Chris. I am an occupational therapist, and we've been trialing a few different switches and access points to help Chris with his best setup with the new controller and for gaming.
Alright, so without further ado, we are going to get started. Our first setup is going to be with the ultra light switch that came with the accessible controller, which is in the closet. You want to grab that?
Where is it?
It's in the closet.
Over here?
Yep.
Your closet?
Yes. The first setup that I'm going to show you guys is the accessible controller with the ultralight switch attached to the back of my headrest, which we're gonna film that to show you guys better because it's a little tricky. There's the Xbox accessible controller, which retails at 100 bones. Relatively inexpensive for a piece of adaptive equipment.
Yes, with this many
It has
external switch sites.
It has 18, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to go through and count them all. But it has 18 3.5 millimeter jacks, which means basically you can essentially turn that into this. Now, I have skills with one hand, as you probably know from my banner on the channel, but I do have issues with games that involve the right trigger.
Right, RT?
Yep. So that's where we're going, and we will show you guys how that works. Okay.
Go ahead.
And we're back, and Ronnie's going to talk about our first setup here.
Okay, so the first setup is pretty low tech, the way we went about setting it up. So the ultra lightweight switch that came with the Xbox controller is just velcroed pretty simply to the back of, or to the inside of Chris's headrest on his wheelchair. And we tried to line it up sort of in the best spot for him to repeatedly be able to access it without fatiguing his head too much.
And the reason why I have the regular controller and the accessible controller is you can use the accessible controller in conjunction with your regular controller as a pilot co-pilot type system. So I can be let's say for example I'm playing Forza Motorsport 7 or any of the Forza games. I could simply control the car with the analog stick and hit the gas with the ultra light switch using the back of my head. And I'm gonna demonstrate that for you now.
Move over so we can see the TV screen where he's playing.
Alright. So we're gonna, for the sake of argument here, play Forza Motorsport 7.
You can hear the click Yep, that's Chris accessing the switch on his headrest.
And then once again, for me, the games I have trouble with are the ones that use the right trigger for anything. So if I'm playing Forza and I want to accelerate, and I want to hit the RT, I just hit this switch and it works. For shooter games, shooting games mostly use the right trigger as the most important function, which is to shoot. And so all I would have to do is aim using the analog stick and shoot with the right. Now, what you want to do here is you want to make sure you go to your settings, you go to ease of access, controller, and Copilot settings. That will bring you into the accessibility menu on your Xbox. As you can see, the adaptive controller is fully charged, and that's chargeable via a USB-C port located on the back of the controller. And as you saw, the Copilot is on. So for the sake of the video here, we're gonna just go to free play. Well, wait. First thing I'm going to do, though, is go to, well, I guess I have to go into free play first. Alright, we have a Homestead Miami setup, so it's a short race, because we don't want to be here for 8 minutes doing one lap.
Chris, can you actually go a little closer? Would you be okay too?
Yep. And I'm sorry for the load times. You know, Forza is a very graphically demanding game, and so it takes a little while to load here. Arriving. Here we go. Start the race. The first thing I'm going to do is pause and go into my controller setup and make sure that accelerate is set to the right trigger. You can see RT is used for gas now, which is all I know how to do, hit the gas. Alright, resume. And why the controller is making a liar out of me now. It did a good job at this yesterday when I was helping out. There we go, because I never hit accepted her. Alright.
Do over.
Alright, so now, you see the car is accelerating. You see my hand is just focused on controlling the car. And Ronnie will show you what the back of my head is actually doing.
So you're just resting on it, right?
It's resting on the ultralight switch right now.
For continuous speed
Yes.
or acceleration.
Yep. And like I said when I was talking about the accessible controller in the beginning, it's $100. The switches can vary, but the most common one you're going to see is an AbleNet big button switch, which I'm going to show you a variation of in a minute. And that retails currently for $65. So as you can see, I came in first using my head playing Forza. Alright, so now Ronnie brought by another Switch, which we'll be right back. And we're back again. The editing on this video is going to be phenomenal. Here we go. Here's the second setup, which Ronnie will explain right now.
Okay, so I just grabbed a pretty basic button switch. You could use a jelly bean switch, which is basically a button switch shaped like a jelly bean. They're pretty easily accessed. You don't need a lot of force to initiate it. It is, on off. You put input into it, it activates it, and you release it, and it'll stop whatever function you're trying to control. So again, we plugged it in the back to the right controller,
right trigger, and positioned it in a pretty good spot for Chris on his lap tray. And he's just using the back of his fingers to access it. And again, you can hear it clicking. So that's a little auditory feedback, knowing that you are accessing the switch correctly. Okay. It is important that you do not try and eat these jelly beans. They're not edible.
It's not an edible jelly bean.
Choking hazard. So for this, we're going to go back to Homestead, Miami, so it's not a long race. You'll see it's going to be a very short race like the last one was.
Now, Chris, did it stay the same, the controller, the setup you did before?
Yes.
It recognizes it again.
It did. So as you can see, Ronnie's going to focus on my right hand. I might not do well this time around because I'm focused on... I don't know why it says I'm in first place, but I'll take it.
So you just have continuous pressure down on the switch.
Yes. Yes. Like I said, this one is not the easiest for me because I'm having to concentrate on keeping my hand down, whereas with my head, I have more control. Oh shoot. Going off-roading. In and out for Romeo.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that with luxury cars, guys. It's not cool. It says first place. I don't know how I got it. There were cars ahead of me. But yeah, I think this will conclude what we have for now. Be sure to stay tuned because I'm still searching for my ideal setup with the Xbox accessible controller. But once again, they retail at $100 a piece. And the big red button, as they call it, comes in at $65. I'm not sure what an ultralight switch comes at. I'm not even sure if they actually come with the accessible controller, or they just send me that out of the goodness of their hearts. But I'm going to assume that they are not uber crazy expensive for an ultralight switch. The next video we're going to do another form of a head array switch, one that rests on this side of my head. So be sure to stay tuned for that video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and stay with me as I find my ideal setup.
Bye.